morning, this is Bob Mason from FX Empire and welcome to the daily crypto tech review of Bitcoin, EOS, Ethereum and Ripple's XRP. We'll be looking at the MACDs, the moving averages and the daily support, resistance and pivot levels. It is Wednesday the 23rd of September. Jumping straight into Bitcoin against the US dollar, we're looking at the hourly candlesticks. Range bound start to the morning after yesterday's partial recovery. Going to need to see Bitcoin avoid a fall through the pivot at 10.508 to support a run at the first major resistance level sitting at 10.638. Going to need to see continued upward momentum for Bitcoin to break out from yesterday's high. This was at 10.597 however. So barring an extended rally, expect that first major resistance level and resistance at 10,700 to cap any upside. In the event of breakout, second major resistance level at 10.728 and 10,800 levels would likely come into play. Fall through the pivot will bring the first major support level sitting at 10.418 into play. Barring an extended sell-off, Bitcoin should avoid sub 10,300s and the second major support level sitting at 10.288. Looking at the MACDs, a slight narrowing of the bearish histograms, but nothing to suggest a bearish day ahead. So nothing conclusive there. On the EMAs, following yesterday's bearish cross, the 100 through the 200, we're seeing the 50 flatten out a little bit against the 100 and 200, suggestive of a range-bound morning. So key through the early part of the day would be for Bitcoin to hold on to 10,500 and avoid a fall through that pivot at 10.508. A move through to 10,600 should signal a breakout in the early part of the day. Moving across to EOS against the US dollar, also range bound through the early part of the morning. Going to need to see EOS avoid a fall through the pivot at 2.5507. Support a run at the first major resistance level that sits at 2.6154. Going to need to see broad-based crypto rally on the day for EOS to break out from yesterday's high that was at 2.5915 through to 2.6 levels however. So barring an extended rally, expect that first major resistance level to cap any upside. In the event of breakout, got 2.65 levels, that's the second major support level at 2.6563 and resistance at 2.7 to cap any upside. Fall through the pivot would bring the first major support level sitting at 2.5098 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, EOS should avoid sub 2.5s and the second major support level that sits at 2.44. Looking at the MACDs, slight narrowing of the bullish histogram, but nothing to suggest a pullback in the early part of the day. And we're seeing the 50 EMA bottom out and begin to narrow against that 100, suggestive of an upward move. So key through the early part of the day, avoid that pivot level at 2.5507 and move back through to 2.6 levels to then bring that first major resistance level into play. Moving across to Ethereum again, US dollar, slightly bearish start to the morning. Need to avoid a fall through the pivot at 342.22 to bring that first major resistance level, sitting at 348.88 into play. Broad-based crypto rally for Ethereum to break out from yesterday's high that was at 346.84. So barring an extended crypto rally, expect that first major resistance level and resistance at 350 to cap any upside. In the event of breakout, got the second major resistance level at 353.49 and resistance at 360 to cap any upside. Fall through the pivot will bring the first major support level sitting at 337.61 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, Ethereum should avoid sub 330s. Second major support level sitting at 330.95 should limit any downside. Looking at the MACDs, seeing a slight narrowing of the bullish histograms, supporting this early pullback, and we're seeing the 50 EMA pull back from the 100 and the 200, suggestive of a bearish morning. Key through the early part of the day, avoiding a fall through that pivot at 342 to sub 340s, and a move back through 345s to bring that first major resistance level and 350s into play. Finally, looking at Ripple's XRP against the US dollar. Range bound start to the morning here. Going to need to see Ripple's XRP avoid a fall through the pivot at 23.24 to support a run at the first major resistance level, sits at 0.3352. Extended crypto rally is going to be needed. Support from the broader market to break out from yesterday's highs. Those are at 0.2344s. So barring an extended rally, expect that first major resistance level to pin Ripple's XRP back. In the event of a breakout, got the second major resistance level at 0.2373 and resistance at 0.24 to cap any upside. Fourth, the pivot would bring the first major support level sitting at 0.2303 into play. Barring extended sell-off on the day, Ripple's XRP should avoid second major support level sitting at 0.2274. Looking at the MACDs, slight narrowing of the bullish histograms, but enough to suggest a bearish day ahead. Looking at the EMAs, however, the 50 has pulled back from the 100 and the 200, suggestive of some downside through the morning. So keep through the early part of the day, avoid the pivot at 0.2324 and move back through to target that first major resistance level at 0.235 to then support some further upside on the day.